You guys, season 2 is here. There's new intro music, new content, new guest episodes, but not everything has changed. There's still your favorite segments like the Audacity Files, Fame, Flames, and Feelings, Petty Triggers, and your host, me. I'm JoJo Lynn, and I still unpack feelings and immediately make it weird. For continuity. I cannot believe we're here, but I am so grateful that we are. The love on Spotify has been unreal. The YouTube comments have been wildly unhinged in the best possible way. And yes, there's a private Facebook group now. If you want a place to keep these conversations going off mic, it's called No Hard Feelings, kinda, the after party. It's new, it's growing, and it's very much a come as you are situation. No pressure to perform, no pretending that you're fine. This season is darker, deeper, and way more honest. We are talking about addiction, trauma, recovery, boundaries, emotional abuse from all sorts of villains, and all the stuff people usually avoid until they explode. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here since season 1, thank you for helping build this into what it's becoming. Season 2 officially starts now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom! Flames and feelings. Watch it all burn for the views. You get a bruise. Flames and feelings. So loud, whole world pulls up with a drink. Call it a show, but I still bleed pink. Flames and feelings.
This is Fame, Flames, and Feelings, where we talk about famous people falling apart and the rest of us pretending that we would have handled it way better. Before we get into all the great stuff we have today, I want to talk about something that we all pretend we don't participate in, but we absolutely do. How we treat addiction when it's public. There's a very specific pattern that happens when someone, especially someone famous, struggles publicly. First, we judge, then we speculate, then we moralize. And somewhere in there, someone says, well, they have all this money, so what's their excuse? As if pain does a background check before showing up. Think about how we've watched certain celebrities unravel in real time, like Britney Spears, which, by the way, I love Britney Spears. That is my girl. I love her so much. I will always defend her. Her breakdown wasn't treated like a health crisis. It was treated like content. Late night punchlines, paparazzi chasing her while she was visibly unwell, endless commentary about whether she was crazy, unfit, or ungrateful. Because, apparently nothing says public interest like filming someone's worst day from 6 inches away and calling it journalism. It's so ethical and so brave.
Leave Britney alone!
No one was asking things like, what does it mean to lose autonomy? What does pressure do to a nervous system? What happens when trauma meets fame and zero privacy? Her pain wasn't hidden. It was monetized. And then the public response wasn't concern. It was judgment dressed up as curiosity. People said things like, well, she has everything. She's rich. She should be grateful. Grateful is always the word people use, isn't it? When they don't know what to do with someone else's pain. It's not advice. It's a dismissal in a nicer outfit. And this is where addiction enters the conversation, because when a famous person turns to substances, we don't ask why they're coping with whatever it is they're coping with. We ask why they're self-destructing. We frame it as a moral failure, a lack of discipline, or a bad choice all on their part, instead of what it really is, an attempt to survive something unbearable. And then we wait. We're very patient, though, aren't we? We'll watch someone spiral for years, but we won't clap until there's a documentary, a redemption arc, or at least one acoustic apology.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize.
Then it's, oh, we're so proud of them. We only like addiction stories after they've been wrapped in a redemption arc. We love the comeback, don't we? We love the look how far they've come. We love recovery. We just hate watching people when they're recovering. So how do we change this? Changing doesn't mean excusing harm. It means changing what we reward. We stop sharing humiliating footage. We stop turning relapse into entertainment. We stop confusing access to money with access to care. And we start treating addiction the same way we treat any other health crisis, with boundaries, accountability, and humanity. And that's why today's conversation matters. Not to scare you, not to label you, and definitely not to diagnose anyone from a podcast. Just to understand something that we've all been taught to oversimplify. My guest today is Dr. Robb Kelly, and if his life story sounds fake, that's because it sounds like a behind-the-scenes movie you'd watch on Netflix. Before becoming one of the most respected voices in addiction and trauma treatment, Dr. Kelly played bass guitar at Abbey Road Studios with legends like Queen, David Bowie, and Elton John. Then life did what it does best. It humbled him hard. Dr. Kelly survived homelessness, addiction, trauma, and PTSD before rebuilding his life, earning a PhD in psychology from Oxford, and becoming what many people call the Gordon Ramsay of the addiction treatment world, minus the yelling plus the truth. Today, he helps people rewire their brains, heal from trauma, and recover from addiction by telling them the thing most people won't. You're not broken. Your brain just learned how to survive in some very questionable ways. He's been on thousands of podcasts, but today he is here with us, and I couldn't be more honored. Dr. Kelly, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you? How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Even better now I'm on here.
Oh, thank you. That's great. I'm so excited. Before I emotionally tackle you, how do you usually describe who you are and the work you do?
So when people say, who are you? My name's Dr. Robb Kelly. I'm an addiction doctor who also deals with trauma, PTSD, depression, anything to do with psych. And we fix people. That's what we usually say.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I have to start here with your resume. It feels like it's multiple lives all combined into one. Which part of your life shocks people the most when they hear it?
I would say, brace yourself, guys. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka. That's the most shocking line in my story, where people gasp, especially when I do it live, they gasp in and you can't hear a pin. You could hear a pin drop in that audience and you go, oh my God, but I was in my disease. I didn't really know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I gasped.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of living very different lives, before the degrees and before the authority and before people started quoting you on podcasts, there was a version of you just trying to survive. You've been very open about your past and your own struggle with addiction, but before addiction entered the picture, what were you like as a young adult or even a young teenager?
So I was a musician, born into a musical family. My auntie and my uncle were plays every weekend, in clubs and bars. So at the age of 3, I got my first guitar. And at the age of 9, I'm on stage professionally working and getting paid for gigging Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I was kind of the richest kid in my school. But yeah, a bit shy, very shy, unless you put a guitar around my neck. And then all of a sudden I could talk, so music was my deal, really.
Yeah.
It was kind of I had friends when I was in high school and was college and stuff, but I've always been a bit of a loner, a bit of a lone wolf. I have lots of people I can call and talk to, but I don't really have anybody as close as friends are to other people. So happy, but from college days, knowing something was going wrong because I was drinking every single day, and of course, alcohol is a depressant. So I couldn't see myself going downhill. I just knew that I wasn't as happy as I was years ago when I was playing in bands.
Mm-hmm. Right. When you look back now, is there a moment you realized your brain wasn't trying to destroy you? It was just using the worst possible survival strategy it had available?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the brain is very clever, especially when you get into the neuroscience behind the brain that we've studied for about 15 years now. Before neuroscience was a thing, I knew that there was more to the brain, especially when it comes to addiction and traits and behavior, and even Alzheimer's, which we deal with as well. So I threw myself into studying the brain. We probably spent $1.5 million on research, trials, tests, scientific research on everything that we do today. And it's fascinating, I always say I have a brain that wants to kill me and make it look like an accident. That's it. I don't just have the alcoholic brain. I have the addictive personality, which basically means that I'm either all in or I'm all out. I either do something or I don't. I mean, if I was going to play basketball, somebody asked me to play basketball a couple of months ago, and I said no. They said, why not? I said, I've never played. Well, come and learn. No, why not? I'll never be the best in the world. So what's the point? And that's been my life. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best in the world. I don't want to be like the masses. I want to build a company bigger and better than anybody else in the industry. I want to be the number one guy in the industry, which I am. It's weird, but you can't trust everything your brain tells you. That's for a fact. Right.
And like addiction logic, it's got a flawless delivery, but a horrible plan,
Oh, I love it. I love that.
Something that really, stands out to me about you is clearly you are highly intelligent. Do you think that helped at all, or did it just give your addiction better excuses?
I think better excuses, and what made it even worse is when I started to get wealthy, is the money and me being a smart guy or thinking I masked my alcoholism because I got away with a lot more than I should have. When you're a kid at college and you're playing at Abbey Road and you're earning, back in the day it was hundreds of pounds a week, which is ridiculous. It's okay. It's Rob. It's okay. It's Rob. I got away with a lot of stuff I shouldn't have got away with. So I would definitely agree with that statement.
Yeah. if intelligence wasn't the exit ramp, so to speak, if knowing better didn't automatically mean doing better, then something else had to shift for you, which I believe you refer to as like a spiritual awakening. Um, when people picture a spiritual awakening, it's usually like a dramatic, beautiful moment. But what actually shifted inside you before anything started to change externally?
So I never thought I had a drink problem, and I was homeless for 14 months, living on the street, sleeping in bushes, park benches for 14 months. I still didn't think I had a problem. I actually died twice on the streets. It's on record, and they brought me back to life 2 times, which I hated and meant for that. So I couldn't live with alcohol. I couldn't live without it, and I had no idea why. It ruined and absolutely stripped the hell out of my family and the pain that I caused to everybody around me. I always say alcoholism is an infectious disease because I certainly, infected everybody that I came across with my disease. So early hours in the morning, it was pouring down with rain. I'm in the area of Manchester where there's only factories and offices. There's no human in sight, no houses, no cars driving by. I dropped down to my hands and knees, and I was an atheist because I got molested by my priest. So I wasn't into the God thing, that's for sure.
Right.
I dropped down to my knees and I started to cry like a baby. Now, what was interesting is I wasn't crying because I'd lost my wife, my money, my kids. I was crying right there and then because I just realized I couldn't stop drinking. And it took all of that for me to realize. So with the pouring down rain, I looked up to the sky and I said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And I even get emotional when I want to say it. 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner. He'd missed his last bus from his Bible study. He'd been walking for at least an hour. He took a shortcut he's never taken before, and he came up on me. And he said, he explained who I was. He did. He said, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm a Christian. Come back to the house, which I did. I shaved. I bathed for the first time in a year. And he made it quite obvious. He said, you can stay for as long as you like, Rob, but you've got to come to these AA meetings. I can't have you in the house drinking. So I said, well, I've been to thousands of them. They don't work for me. And he said, well, that's the deal. You can't stay. I can't have coming home after that and seeing you drunk. So I went with him. When I was at my first meeting with him, not my first meeting at AA, but, together, as we were together. During the meeting, a guy spoke. He was his turn to share, and he said, my name's John, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I looked at Derek, and I said, what did he just say? And Derek said, he said he's recovered. And I'm like, well, I'm not having that. I've lost everything. If someone tells me you can recover from this, no one's ever said that to me. So after he talked sense, though, so after the meeting, I walked over to him and I said, hey, John, my name's Rob, will you sponsor me? And he said, no. He said, but I will be a spiritual advisor for a period of 12 weeks, which I thought was weird. But Wednesday, I left Derek's at 6. I got to his house for 7. I stayed till 8 and I walked back for 9. That was my Wednesday routine for 12 weeks. I couldn't walk up to his apartment at 2 minutes to. It has to be dead on 7 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, halfway through conversation, he would stand up and walk me to the door and bid me a good night. On the last day there, on a Wednesday, I thanked him profusely. And he said, Rob, you've been chosen to do this work. I want you to go around the world and tell people you can fully recover from the illness of alcoholism. And I'm like, John, I can't do that. If I went into some of the AA groups said that, they would lynch me. We're always anyway, he told me to do it, and he said, your life will change from tomorrow. So the next day, I'm cleaning the house because that's my contribution to staying at Derek's. And he come home unexpectedly from work, and he said, Rob, the guy that cleans the floors, mops the floors at work in the factory, he's just resigned. Do you want a part-time job? I'm like, oh my God, yes. So I drove back with him. Later that week, it turned into a full-time job, which I'm loving absolutely. I'm working and helping other alcoholics. I have a full-time job now. When I got my first pay packet, I went to the gas station and I bought him a little tiny teddy bear. It must have been about 2 or 3 inches high. That's all I could afford. And a card. And I wrote on the card, "Thank you for introducing me to God, because he took the compulsion to drink away." And I was walking back to his house. And when I got there was nobody in. In fact, the curtains look a bit more dustier than they were. So I was knocking that hard that the woman on the right-hand side of the apartment, she came out of her apartment and she says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, where's John? He's not moved, has he?" And she said, "John who?" I said, "John, your neighbor." So she said, "Well, I'm on nights. I have a night shift. I hardly see anybody." So I went round to the left-hand door and I knocked on that apartment. Big guy came to the door and said, "What do you want?" I said, "Where's John? Has he moved or something?" He said, "John who?" I said, "John, your neighbor. What's going on here? You guys drunk or something?" To tell me that apartment was derelict. And if I was to walk in it right now, we would fall 3 floors down and kill us. So I think these guys are crazy. So I go back to the meeting where I first met John several months ago. And when I walked in, the chairman went, "Oh my goodness, Robert, great to see you." He hugged me, we shook hands. I said, "Does John still come here?" And he said, "John who?" I said, "John, the guy I was over there in the coffee machine speaking to him about going around to his house every Wednesday." He said, "Oh my goodness, Rob, we thought you were praying because you were talking to yourself." We've never found that man. And when I started to get wealthy, I paid the best detective agency in Manchester to trace him, and nobody could trace him. But his work is what I teach today, hence the 98% success rate. And that story I would not tell for at least 15 years, 10, 15 years, because I thought no one would believe me. But when I did start to share it, people were like, "Oh my God, something like that happened to me." And that's how it all came me coming off the streets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm actually speechless. Wow. Yeah, wow. Do you think that people delay healing because they're waiting for a moment that maybe feels worthy of change instead of like just the quiet realization that they're maybe just exhausted?
I think people look for signs all of the time. I look for patterning, which also can be signs. But I think so. People get themselves in a rut, and let's talk about the average everyday person, not even addiction, is we get into a rut and we accept what's around us. People stay in relationships too long when it's not working. People stay at jobs too long when they're miserable. It's like nobody wants to get up and make a move in case it fails, because what would people think about us? You know, one of the biggest times of my life was about 3 years ago, when I suddenly decided that I don't give a crap what people think about me. But people are stuck there with, they need some sign, or they need a nudge or a push forward. And then, but it's just, life is in patterns and familiar. So you don't want to come out of a familiar pattern to take a chance. And there's lots of stories that I use when I'm touring on conferences. There was a young 15, 16-year-old girl in Manchester back in the late 60s. And she was snatched off the side of the road into a van, and the police were looking for her and they couldn't find her. So they scaled back, the police officers, and she was presumed dead. This police officer was traveling down a country road and came up upon a car in front of him that had a broken light. So he pulled him over. And back in the day, you used to do this. "Hey, is this your car? What's your name?" You didn't have to carry a license or nothing. "What's in the trunk?" And the driver will say, "Pair of boots, yellow jacket." And you open the trunk, and there it is. If there's a pair of boots there, it's his car. So you let him off with a warning. When they asked this guy, he was very cagey. And when they looked in the back of his car, they found one screwdriver that he'd stolen from the local shop. It had the receipt attached to it. The buying receipt. Back in the day, used to tear it off to show. Mm-hmm. So it was a stolen screwdriver. He admitted the stolen screwdriver. Now they're allowed to go back to the house. So they go back to the house and they're looking around, and there were ladders, there were drills, there were screwdrivers, there were all kinds of DIY stuff that he's stolen. One person said, "Hey, what's that box in the corner?" So when the police officers looked over, it was about 4 foot high by about 10 foot wide. And they said, we know you've got more stuff in there. So they smashed the lock off and they opened it. And there was the girl that went missing 9 months ago. She was bruised, she was battered, but she was alive. He used to take her out every day, abuse her, bathe her, feed her, and then restroom, and then put her back for 9 months. She was alive. She looked up, and a policewoman went up to the box. She put her hand down and she helped this young girl step out of the box. She took her police coat off and she wrapped it around this little girl. What's the first thing the girl did? She got back in the box. And that's what we do in life. Even though it's painful, we still get back in that box, because even the pain, the sorrow, and the hurt and the tragedy is more familiar than realizing your identity, realizing that you can make something of yourself, and realizing you can start that business. You can find. I'd hate anybody to get to the age of 70, 80, look back on their life and realized there was nobody watching, and you really could have done anything you wanted to do.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
People don't. People are scared. The amount of people I know personally who saved up for retirement, and a week before they retired, they dropped dead or something, or they got Alzheimer's. It's like you need to step away from pattern behavior.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in there. And life is so precious. Life is so fast. Guys, how many times in America, I don't know why it's faster than England, maybe because I have more to do here, but you're on a Monday, next minute you're on the following Monday, and then time is like an hourglass. It's sifting through all the time, and we can't stop it. So are you going to put up with the life you have, which you don't like? Are you going to put up with the arguing and the beatings with alcoholic parents and kids watch this? Or we're going to be brave enough to step out? Well, you can't just step out. You need to work on the patterning in the brain to give you an exit route, and to stick with that exit route. And that's what we do. We repattern brains. We're more neuroscientists than we are doctors. We repattern with neuroscience behavior, brain, subconscious, conscious brain, and the amygdala. Once we pattern all parts of the brain and the prefrontal cortex, you're a different human being when you leave us as when you started.
Yeah. What I find so fascinating is that exactly what you're saying, you didn't just stop at recovery. You went back and asked, why the brain clings so hard to patterns that hurt us. You talk a lot about rewiring the brain. What's the biggest myth people believe about addiction and trauma that actually keeps them stuck?
It's a great question. My goodness, I've done thousands of these. That's a great question.
Thank you.
It's just getting in that rigid pattern of self-sabotage, where deep down inside we know, because of our parents have told us, or caregivers and teachers, that we're never going to be tall enough, blonde enough, rich enough, all this crazy stuff, that we get told. So we fall into this pattern of non-belief. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to in the street, we'd play, we used to kick a football around. And often we'd shout, "Hey, Jimmy, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And you go, "I want to be a footballer." "What about you, Billy?" "I want to be a pilot." What happened to them dreams? I'll tell you, they were kicked out of us by our family and friends. Don't be so stupid, Robert, I got told. You can't go to college like your brother. You're too stupid, is what I got told. So the stuff that we hear, childhood trauma is the gateway drug. Everybody has it, unless you've done intense work. Everybody has it. It sits in the subconscious brain, so you might not know you have it, but it puts you in a position today. Like if you can't keep a job, keep a relationship, if you're broke all the time, that's direct correlation to childhood trauma. Because you live in that. We were lower class, working class people. We had no money to go on trips or anything. So my brother, that's what he did. He stayed on the projects. He got a job at the garage. He washes cars for a living. But there was something about me. It's like the belief is this, guys, that our brain is hardwired, and I can categorically tell you that it's not. And I've known it hasn't been for the last 20 years. And the medical fraternity took my license off into practice because they said I was doing harm when I was telling people this, but we were doing it and people were getting well. 4 months later, we got my license back. I lecture to those guys today, by the way. It is not hard work. You can literally repattern with neural pathways away from self-sabotage, and you literally can build an empire, or you literally, like me, can get your children back. I mean, there's nothing in the world you can't do. I mean, just for a smile. I'm not into politics. I don't care who's in. They've done nothing for me. And I'm a United States citizen, and I'm proud of that. But you've got to realize that, 3, 5, 6 years ago when Trump first got in, we had a businessman running the country with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me, guys, that you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there.
Right. You're right. Yeah. So basically, people think they're defective when really their brain just downloaded some sketchy software during trauma.
Yeah, it's I think a realization of what the brain is capable of doing, because the normal person on the street probably knows 2% of what the brain really is. The 98% just believe that this is it. This is life.
Yeah.
And they don't expect great things. They expect, the amount of times I've heard this, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Well, it's going to drop with an attitude like that, because internal dialogue is very powerful. Very powerful. If you tell yourself, oh, it's going to be a bad day today, it's going to be a bad day. But we have a morning routine we do. We'll share with it before we go. And tell yourself to expect 3 things. It's going to be a great day today. And it will be. You see, you can't upset me with me putting my perspective on what you said and accepting that. And I don't do that today. I don't accept what you think about me. It's de minimis. It doesn't make sense. You know, the more people, the more haters I have, the better. Because I love that stuff. I only have 2 right now. We've hired the rest of them, I think. But yeah, it's like you have to self-believe. You have to do the work around the trauma, do the work around, you know, if you want to build an empire or stuff like that, you've got to do specific work around that. But the people I've worked with, 11,026, I think we counted this morning, 11,026 people, patients I've worked with. All of them have got well. All of them are moving and doing some great stuff today in the world.
Wow.
You have to realize that it's not what they're telling you guys. Addiction and alcoholism is not what they said it is. The pharmaceutical companies make a great living by telling you if you come on to our drugs and not the street drugs, you'll be okay. So it's not the case.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. And something I wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if it's like a stupid question or not, because I don't really know much about it, but breath work. But tell me a little bit about that, and why is that so effective?
So Windhoff breath work, you know, it's great, and other types of breath work, we do it differently. We use software, and we have 9 dimensions. You put headphones on an eye mask, and lie down in a recliner. And basically what we're doing is we're doing breath work with 9 subliminal messaging entering the subconscious brain every 30 seconds. You listen to music, you've got a narrator just telling you to do certain things like breathe. But when the breath work is done like that, it's amazing. You see, one of the reasons why nobody has woken up laughing ever is a lack of oxygen. So the subconscious brain thrives in hypoxic situations, and the conscious brain thrives when there's plenty of oxygen around. So we wake up in the morning with little oxygen because of repair, the sleep, between the hours of 3 and 5 on a normal circadian sleep pattern. It's when most people die of natural causes, but it's also when the body is at its lowest. So when we wake up, we have to correct the breath. The presence of oxygen equals the lack of disease. So every disease in the human body, including cancer, start in a hypoxic area of the body. And not a lot of people know that. We only breathe 45% of our lung capacity. You ever been to the gym, guys, and you're working out and you feel great, or a runner or cycle? It's not the exercise. It's this in between the sets. Banging in the oxygen. and the body and brain is
Mm-hmm.
not used to it, but they love it. So if we can do our breath work in the morning, which is 20 exaggerated breath in and out, you'll flip out the subconscious and flip in the conscious brain for that day. It's absolutely amazing. It's easy, but people don't
Wow.
believe it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is really interesting. You're known for telling people the truth instead of comforting them. Why do you think people say that they want honesty, but secretly hope that you'll still lie to them maybe just a little bit?
People are, people are not getting well. America is a sick country, and I say that
Mm-hmm.
as an American. I became an American 10 years ago. It's a very sick company. The pharmaceutical company run the world. So if you want to start at the top, the food industry gets us sick. The pharmaceutical companies keep us sick. That's the bottom line. If you're a well patient, you're no good to anybody because they can't make money off you. They can't send you to treatment. They can't give you a pill, stuff like that. So there's a lot of untruths around that are not true. I mean, there's probably 90% of stuff in supermarkets or your local store that we cannot methylate as a human being. The canola oils, the sunflower oils, all this horrible stuff that they put in our food, we can't methylate. So again, what a lot of people don't know is when we eat something, it's not used in the format that we eat it. It has to be methylated into the source and energy that the body can use. Well, there's a ton of stuff we cannot methylate. Rancid oils are one of those. Sunflower oils were one of those things we can't methylate. When you can't methylate a food or a protein that goes into the body, there becomes a deficiency. The deficiency will cause the liver, the heart, the cancer, and so on and so forth. So with lack of oxygen and rancid food that we're eating, it's no wonder we're a sick nation.
Yeah.
I ask people this all the time. I say, hey, some people go, well, I disagree with that. I say, okay, just answer me this simple question. If the pharmaceutical companies don't run the world, answer this question. Have you ever been to the doctor for an ailment, illness, or whatever? He's give you medication. You've taken that medication. It's cured the illness, and you never have to take that medication again. And the answer is no.
Right. Yeah. That's very
We're on a
true.
roll now, girl. We're on a roll.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I was so excited about you coming on the show is because I think it's good for people to hear professionals and experts such as yourself, not just talking at people, but having these kinds of honest conversations and discussing ideas and theories and showing humanity and truth. You and I had spoken briefly the last time we talked about an idea that I was sort of fine tuning about, having experts from different specialties on the show to do exactly that. What do you think people miss when the experts don't talk to each other?
There's a general rule to be healthy. There's two causes. That's all there is for every illness. There's two causes. It's toxicity and the methylation or the deficiency of the body. So we're either poisoned or we're deficit in something. They're the 2 points. Now, you have to be brave to stand up and say the stuff I said. A lot of professionals won't do it. And a lot of professionals believe that the health system right now is working and everyone's great and everyone's fantastic. It's not working. And the treatment model for alcoholics and addicts, depressed, whatever it is, has been broken for at least 15 years in America. So we have to look at being honest. If you can't be honest with a patient, if you can't use subliminal messaging and all the other tools that we use to get them well, what's the point? What's the point of all of this as far as we're concerned? I might as well go drink and take the patient with me. If you're not saving lives on a daily basis, what are you doing? And the hardcore truth is that when you finally come to us, when they've tried treatment centers, when they've tried millions of dollars with specialists to come to us, I will tell you categorically, if you don't do this, your son's going to die. Now, that's a powerful, especially in my industry. It's like, well, you can't really say that to parents. We do, and I've been doing it for the last 10 years. I'm being honest with people. If we can't help you, I will tell you we can't help you. I will not take your money. You have to pass an assessment to come on here. Now, we could call a bunch of treatment centers right now, and they'll answer the phone, and one of the first things they'll ask you is, does your insurance, can I get your insurance details? Make sure you're covered. We don't do that. How do they know they can fix them? They don't even know them. And they're asking for, give me your insurance. No, you have to pass an assessment to get into our place. You have to earn your place in here. You can't buy your way through. And we've turned millions of dollars down over the years. And people don't get it. It's like, if we can't fix somebody, if we can't cure the addiction, not the alcoholism, the addiction, the depression, then what's the point in us taking you on? And we're all like that. We have like 5 offices around the world, and every single therapist and coach in them offices do exactly the same. We're not taking people on. God will look after us with the finances. He has done very well, but only to the people that are ready to get healed.
Wow.
I just won't tell. I don't sugarcoat things. You know, if you're not doing the work, I will fire you. Well, you can't give up on him. He must give up on himself, first of all, and go somewhere else. I'm too busy to mess around with stuff like that. And it's controversial. You know, well, you shouldn't give up. It's not about that. Because I tried that in the early days when I got here, and I was end up in a psychiatric ward with a nervous breakdown trying to help everybody. I can't do it. If you're ready to help, you guys, if you're not, go away. Go somewhere else. And invite you to be successful somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is what we, because it's frustrating. It's heart destroying when somebody relapses or, God forbid, dies, which we've had all of those. So I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you like the truth and want to get well, you'll have an amazing life. And if you don't, God bless you.
Right. Yeah, that's the reality of it. Yeah. When someone's trauma becomes almost like a part of their personality, what's the hardest part about letting it go?
Trauma bonding and trauma in individuals is scary because the trauma builds who you are today. So the trauma bonding is real. To come away from trauma, you have to be willing to take risks and willing to walk into the unknown. And once that's explained and a bunch more other stuff pertaining to the neuroscience, people take a chance to go, okay, I don't believe what you're doing, Dr. Robb. I don't think you can do it because I've been other place. Well, I'm going to give it a try. And that's all we need. We need 5% in the game, leave the rest to us.
Yeah.
But yes, it goes back to that. Human beings don't like change. That's what it goes back to. We just don't like change, you know? Change scares us. So we stick in that same old pattern. And everybody's got patterns, guys. If you've ever been to the seaside with a bunch of guys or girls, you know, on like a company trip out, you go down to the seaside, and have some drinks, have some fun. You have to eat, and when it's time to get on the bus, you all get back on the bus. Which seat do you sit in? It's usually the one you travel with. That's a pattern we don't see. And life is full of them patterns. So you need to be brave, be willing. You need to be ready to change of doing anything in this world where I can change. Because the basic fundamental deal with the program that we do is once we get you a spiritual connection, Uncle Jimmy, or universe, whatever you want to do, because the mind connects the energy with another energy, and we change the neural pathways to a different level, your DNA changes. Now, we've got that on file. It's slight, but it changes because you cannot be the same person when you finish with us as when you started with us, because the same reaction and patterns will start again of self-sabotage. It only takes one thing. I remember being in a bar years ago when I was drinking. I was trying to get sober, and the barman come up. He said, "What do you like?" I said, "I have an orange juice." He said, "We're doing a special today on this vodka." "Yep, great. Put that in the orange juice straight away." I wasn't even thinking. I'm on autopilot to self-sabotage. We just have to be careful of our thoughts. We have to be careful of our internal dialogue. Stop listening to people around you that are not making sense. If they're not helping you build up, if they're not validating you on a daily basis, you need new friends. I'm sorry, but you do. And there's always one person around you that wants you to fail.
Yeah.
Find out who that is.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you. This is a little off topic, but I just have to ask you about it because you had said that your quirkiest coping mechanism is taking your car through the car wash, and I love that because it's 5 minutes where no one can reach you and nothing can demand your attention.
Yeah, it's a kind of a peaceful time for me. We have a car wash opposite where we work. I have a restaurant as well next to my offices that I own. But yeah, I have a pretty expensive car, and the guys, they don't do the brushes. They kind of do it by hand as I'm going through this car wash. And
Mhm.
it's just my place. It's just quietness. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, five uninterrupted minutes nowadays is basically like a luxury retreat.
It is, and I always leave my phone in the office. I just come out, grab my car, shoot across there. Yeah, I mean, my life
Yeah,
is everything I ever dreamt of is what I'm living now. So
yeah.
when the police took my daughters off me, ages 1 and 3, because I'd been drunk for 2 days and they had been fed or changed diapers, so the police come and took them off me. And as they're lifting both girls, my eldest, 3 or 4, is walking down the path holding mommy's hand. And she turned around and said, "Daddy, Daddy, please don't go." And halfway down the path, she says, "Daddy, Daddy, please get better." And as they got to the gate, she turned around one more time and said, "Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking." That daughter, after 30 years of estrangement, got in touch with me 4 years ago. And she sent me a message on Facebook. And it read, "Hey, Dad." She called me Dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, it's been too long. I don't believe what they were all telling me. Can we meet? I've got something to show you." So we have people around us, obviously. So we're on a plane within 2 hours, heading to the UK. We get there late. We stay in a hotel around the corner from our house. We we walk there in the morning. I'm crying, I'm shaking, and my wife's trying to hold me up. And we get to the front door, and it's times like this when you realise that all the loneliness of trials, testing, research, all the loneliness of being not like anybody else when it comes to a healing addiction has all paid off because she opened the door, we hugged, and we cried after 30 years of estrangement. And then she took me by my hand and she walked me into her living room and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter.
Oh,
It's stuff like that when you realize all the pain, all the lonely nights are worth it, because when you want to lead, when you want to be the best in the world, it's a lonely place. And I'm talking to you guys out there that are building podcasts, building empires, building businesses, whatever it is. There is a period of loneliness, man. And you have to deal with that, on a natural,
right.
non-self-sabotaging way. But if you do what I'm talking about today, guys, you'll get well and things will start to come back to you. So that girl, we call her Charlie, her name's Charlotte. That girl is my lead therapist in my Manchester, UK office today.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
For someone listening right now who feels completely broken but is still functioning enough to, just enough to scare themselves, what's the one thing you would want them to know?
Well, first of all, start dialogue with somebody, a close friend or parents, or just start something. I think I'm having a problem. I think I'm depressed. I think I'm drinking too much. Just start the conversation, however hard it is for you to try. And then this is what we love. This is what I love. So my mum and dad died earlier than this year because of me, my homelessness, and worried to death. And, there were days when they just wished the police had come to the door and tell them I was dead. So the pain would go away. Is you can call us like 12 hours a day between the hours of 8 until 8 p.m. And we have a special team that will talk to the loved ones, talk to your parents, talk to the wife while we talk to you. Nobody is going to sell you anything. We're not interested in that. We don't refer people, unfortunately, because we don't like much many people out there. But just call us, talk to us.
Right.
And if you're in that place, I spoke about the homelessness, I spoke about the devastation, I spoke about the abandonment that I suffered when I was on the street. If you're in that place, if you're in a broken down apartment, man, the wife was left with the kids, and you think, I got to end this, I want you to call this number, 214-600-0210. That's my personal cell phone number, and this is what will happen. Text is always best, guys, because I'm busy, as you can imagine. I'm a concierge doctor. I have certain high-profile people. We look after the rest as well. Don't get me wrong, we do a lot of pro bono. But text me, and I'll text you back almost immediately because I can always text. I'm going to arrange a 10 to 15-minute phone call with you, and I'm going to change your life right there and then. And the reason why I give my phone number out, and the reason why I always do this in podcasts, is because, one, it was done for me. Derek saved me, and John saved my life. And two, I would rather give 15 minutes of my time than hear of your suicide next week.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And thank you for doing that.
Of course.
Where can people find you and your website and any social media?
Yeah, so obviously you can't see screen right now, but I spell my name with two B's, so it's ROBBKELLY.com, RobbKelly.com with two B's. Any search engine, Dr. Robb Kelly, all the socials are there. Breathbox.studio, that's my Breathbox studio with the software that we use to get people well. We do online, we do in person. I mean, it's just go have some fun on the website. Go say hi on social media, and we're here if you need us. And I have a book out there. It's called Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. It's on Amazon, but please don't buy it. So I'm going to give 5 copies away. If you're in the United States of America, we can send it to you. I'll sign it. Just get in contact with either of us. I'll sign it to you. I'll pay for the book. I'll pay for the shipping. I'll send it off to you. You can have a good read of it. And one condition is not because you were dying, but one condition is very important to me, is that you pass it on to somebody else when you're finished.
I love that. That's great. Yes, and I will put all of your a link to your website and socials and all that on my website as well, so that everybody can get there easily. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Kelly, and for the work that you do.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to speak to really good podcasters, and that's what you are.
Thank you.
Questions. One question that's never been asked before. I love that. I love you. You're amazing. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm privileged and honored to be on your podcast. And so I've got to tell you this before I go. We turn down 15 and 20 podcasts a month. We just turn them down. We're not interested. And Courtney, her job is to go out and find people that are changing the world. And then we come to you and humbly offer, can Rob be on your podcast? But you're changing the world. Otherwise, and I don't care if we say it, we wouldn't have contacted you. She only contacts people that change the world. So thank you for what you do and all the lives that you save, especially with this podcast. And if there's anything I can do for you going forward, you know where I am.
Thank you so much. And that genuinely, it means so much to me that you feel that way. And, because this podcast was born from my own severe depression and trauma. And so it's something, this didn't start as like a hobby. It was a passion project, really. And so I love that I get this opportunity now and to meet people like you. So again, thank you. And I will definitely be in touch. And I'd love to have you back on the show and to talk more about, doing, I have some ideas, but like fine tuning, some more things that we could do together. But I'm just super excited and It has just been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you indeed. It's great to meet you again.
It's time for the Audacity Files, where we catalog the confidence of people who are deeply and proudly wrong.
Here comes the foolishness, we read the receipts. It's the Audacity Files where petty meets the street.
All right, welcome back to the Audacity Files. And today's file is substantial because this one isn't about villains. It's about comments and opinions, things people say with their full chest while knowing absolutely nothing. I don't think people realize how audacious they sound when they say things like, well, why don't they just stop? Oh, you solved it. Cancel the rehabs, everyone. Susan from Facebook cracked the case. And then there's, the one for alcoholics and gamblers. Well, at least it's not drugs, which is fascinating because it somehow minimizes addiction and misunderstands it at the same time. That sentence alone deserves its own file. And then there's my personal favorite. They don't look like an addict. Oh, because addiction has a uniform, a dress code, and a rule book. What that really means is this doesn't match the movie version that I've been picturing. And at this point, I'm honestly just waiting for someone to say, have they tried turning the addiction off and back on again? I mean, at this point, nothing would surprise me. What makes these comments ignorant isn't that people are malicious, because they're really not. They're anything but. But it's that they confuse not understanding with not needing to understand. They think intention matters more than impact, and that effort equals insight. Or they think if something hasn't happened to them, then it must be very simple. And that's how addiction keeps getting treated like a character flaw instead of a human experience. And when I say Susan from Facebook, I don't mean one specific person. I mean the collective, the spirit of Susan from Facebook. We all know her. She's the one giving unsolicited advice, the confidence with no credentials, the, well, have you just tried stopping energy? Susan read half a headline once, or Susan's cousin went through something similar. So Susan has thoughts that she needs you to know about, not to be confused with the thoughts and prayers she's always dishing out as well. And Susan will be back often, because Susan is full of audacity and she never logs off Facebook. And that concludes today's Audacity File. Susan, please go take a nap.
That's today's foolishness. We've read the tales, we've seen the feats. Thanks for stopping by the Audacity Files where petty always meets the street.
All right, that is where we are going to leave it today. If this episode made you feel seen, called out, emotionally attacked, or weirdly comforted, good. That means it worked. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and follow the show. It helps more than you think, and it tells the algorithm that I'm not just talking to myself on the internet for fun. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe, drop a comment, say literally anything. I read all of them, I love them, and some of you honestly should be studied. And yes, there is that private Facebook group, which is still new, still growing, and it's the perfect time to show up before Susan from Facebook finds it. Season 2 is just getting started, and trust me, we have some incredible conversations coming. Same honesty, more depth, and absolutely no pretending that this stuff is easy. As always, therapy is expensive. Share your chaos with me for free. I'll see you next episode right here on No Hard Feelings. Kinda. If you want to follow Dr. Robb Kelly, you'll be able to find links to all of his work and website and socials on my website as well. And I will see you guys next week.